No? No, can I? We got... Where's he at? Clifton! Clifton!
Sorry, Anna.
There he goes. And here comes his dog. Good to see you again.
Mommy, where's the cake?
People turn around and make a much better photo opportunity.
Where's the cake?
I think you're going to tell me to say something.
And they told me that we were not going to do anything until summer.
I see you, Mom.
Well, there's sugar.
I think she was surprised. Hey, Jimmy, did you see the ones of you?
I'm throwing it.
Quill it, quill it.
That's not a big enough piece for Mayfield or Elmo.
Oh, I missed it. Quill it, get out of the way.
That's the name.
I missed it. Just stick your fingers in each other's mouth again. Quill it jumped right away.
Trying to get yelled again.
There we go. There we go. Now you want more ice cream? Down in front.
Now can you hear? Can you hear me now? Now is it better? Okay.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, there it is.
There you go. Hey, get your head over just a little bit. Thank you.
I was going to tell you something about the gruesome twosome up here. Elmo, you need to go to your seat. Over there with your wife.
The love of your 50 years. Get over there.
Well, Mom and Dad, this is it. This is the big one, the 50 big ones. And all these people, they've got water balloons when it's over to hit you with. I know you all know I'm Emily and I'm their daughter. Marguerite, on December 7th, 1943, Marguerite Helen Chappell and George Emil Penrod were married on a 3-day furlough. Mom was born on May 25th, 1925 in Pickett, Arkansas. Her parents moved to Portisville, Missouri in 1931 to a farm her parents bought. She was the second of 7 children. Junior Chappell, Mom was the second, Juanita Finch, Clifton Chappell, Little Rex, this was a little baby that only lived 3 days, but he was born so he counts. Aunt Mildred Hankins, Tom Chappell, who left this world 6 years ago. My mother's parents, Yule Chappell and Emma Pearl Chappell, were and are a very close and living family, loving family. One of the examples they set for their children, your family is your life. It's your life force. And when there's no one else or you're in trouble, you have your family. My mother said, her mom and dad said that, and she said to us all the time that we were being raised. My grandparents were farmers on my mother's side, and they worked very hard out in the field picking cotton. And y'all from Southeast Missouri know this better than me. I memorized this. And their children worked alongside their parents as well. I told my mother a little white lie the other day and told her I had this paper due for class, because I don't know about picking cotton, so, and thank God I don't. And so she told me that this was the kind of job that where your hands get very sore and your sacks get very heavy, but everyone did it. And she said they laughed and they talked and they even had cotton bowl fights. And I said, you mean cotton balls? She said, no, I mean cotton bowls. In 1942, she met Elmo Penrod, and what a good-looking guy he was. Dad was born on March 23rd, 1922, in Portysville, Missouri, to Samuel and Dolly Penrod. He was one of 5 children, 4 big old strapping boys and 1 precious little girl, Aunt Dot. Levon was the oldest, then Elmo, then Mayfield, then Dorothy May, and then Quilla. When Dad was 13, his mother, Dolly, died in October. I can only imagine this must have been devastating to those children and to their dad. My dad remembers his mother as loving and kind. My grandmother, on my mother's side, said that my other grandmother was a good woman. That's the way my grandmother Emma Pearl put it. She said, your grandmother, I've met her, and she's a good woman. She's a big woman, and I don't think she meant heavyset, but that would have been all right. I think she was just a tall woman. But in March, just 5 months later, their dad died. This left 5 children. Levon was 15, Elmo was 13, Mayfield was 11. Dot was 7, and Quilla was 5 or 6. I might be a little off on those, because I had to figure this out. He remembers his dad as a very strong person. And that doesn't mean, you know, like can lift things, but he was a very strong-minded person. He really guided his family well. Unlike today, you know, because we have social services and all this, an uncle and 2 aunts came and took the 3 little ones, and the 2 older ones, Elmo and Levon, lived with some people, 2 separate families not far away, and farmed. At 17, my dad went into the CC camps, but it wasn't long that it was discontinued. So he went to the Army due to the World War II starting. In 1943, Mom married Dad on a 3-day furlough. I know you've heard that once. He left December 10th, and they didn't see each other for 2 years. She said that there were times she didn't even think this guy, Elmo Penrod, even existed. But you see, they had this plan. She would get letters from him, and she also got an allotment. And I said, well, thank goodness for that. At least she got a paycheck. But they had this plan to where he would reveal to her where he was at. He was in a place called Sador, New Guinea. And he put, like on each letter, he put 1 little alphabet letter. So he started out with S, and then on the next letter came an A, and pretty soon she put them all together and she figured it out. Sador, New Guinea, that's where he was. In 1943, we've already heard that. Where'd that come from? Mom went to college while Dad was away in the service and worked at a Walgreens. When she finished college, which was 2 years, she was living with her parents and she heard about V-Day on the news. She had been getting letters and knew it wouldn't be very long until the war was over. You couldn't expect me to memorize all that, so I wrote it down. Mom had a 1933 Chevelle, a 2-seater, she called it. She thought this car was really snazzy, as she described it on the telephone to me. She was on her way to a store in Moordale to get some boots. She told this story about how she had car trouble and she got her shoes wet and she wiped them off and she had to walk and, oh man, it was a mess. But anyway, she gets down to the drugstore and this woman meets her and says, oh, Marguerite, we've got a telegram and I think it's from Elmo. Come on. So she knew he was coming home. She was to meet him in Portysville, Missouri at midnight. Now, every time I hear this story, you know, it's like as you get older, you get a little more insightful. My dad will think this is boring, but I'm the one that's romantic in the family. She went with her cousin. He's not romantic at all. Mom says he is, but not around us. She went with her cousin. And they waited, and they waited, and they waited. Now, in my mind, I see these old-time movies with Humphrey Bogart. Mom thinks this is funny. you know, the black and white, and she's waiting in this old-time car, and she's waiting for this train to pull up. She said it seemed like 1,000 trains pulled up, and all these army men would get off. And finally, this guy gets off, and she sees him. Now, he don't see her first, is the way I understand it. But then he sees her. He's got this big old, let me get this right, because it's not duffel. I thought she was saying duffel. She was saying Delphi. He had this big old duffel bag on his back. She said he sets it down and he saw her and he just came a-running and he grabbed her and he picked her up and just swung her around and got her around. I said, how in the world can you say that's not romantic? That's very romantic. This was 1945 and the war was over. The banners came out, they had parades, they went up and down the street. And got out of the war, you know, they stayed with her parents for about a month. Then they went to Wardell and they rented a house and she was teaching school. In 1946, November 28th, their first child was born, Dickie Jean. When Dickie was 7, Dad came up here for a year, and then Mom and Dickie came up later. In between time, they would go back and forth. Then in 1954, they thought their family was complete. Darla was born, and Mom had Rh negative factor, so the doctor said, you better not have any more. Wrong. There was one more baby to be born, and on October 22nd, 1956, Emily was born. Sometimes God leaves the best for last. They were living in St. Charles in their first home at 1730 Wellman, St. Charles, Missouri. Dad worked for Ford and Mom was teaching. Mom took off 1 year with each of her babies. 1967, we're almost to 93, figure it out. They moved to Prowley Lane. She was teaching at Monroe, and Dad was in business for himself on 5th Street at a mobile service station. In 1981, my dad retired. In October of 82, my dad had some heart problems, and he had open heart surgery. And I can't begin to tell you what that was like for our family. It was scary. We didn't know, you know, if he would make it, but we told him before he went to surgery, I said to him, you will make it. If you don't, I'll be mad at you. Well, he came out, and he was hooked up to everything in the world, as you can imagine. And after they took him out of intensive care, when you have open heart surgery, that's a real different kind of surgery than others, and you cry real easy, so it's nothing to be upset about or anything. But we were sitting in the room, and Mom had gone to get everybody coffee, you know, and he was looking out the window, and he said, you know, I don't know why God saved my life. And I said, well, God takes care of the drunks and the ignorant. And he said, but I don't drink. I said, I know. I said, anybody else, you know. So at this time, I was going to nursing school in O'Fallon, and I had 2 children, the older 2, Josh and Andy. Darla lived at Lacey Ozarks and had Matt and Dana, and Dickie lived in St. Charles and had all 3 boys, Brian, Jeff, and Dana. From then to now, Mom is taught out at Monroe, and Dad is a lovely homemaker. He fishes, he hunts, and he aggravates all of us. Now let me tell you, just looking back, about a little bit of the discipline we had as kids. Now that I've given you all the boring stuff. Now I get to get even. I know that everyone in this room has heard this before from a parent. I've heard things like straighten up. I'll come over there and kick you. And I'm just the guy to do it. My dad would say. You're not thinking right. That was the one we heard a lot. Don't get cute. That was my dad's favorite one. And my mom was, don't be ugly. And when they got real mad, my mom would say, who do you think you're talking to? I always wanted to say, I know who I'm talking to. I didn't dare. And another thing, it didn't matter if we did it or not, they'd walk in and say, I know you did that. Don't say anything. Answer me right now, don't you say a word. What's wrong with you? Answer me. Say something. And, you know, and it better be right. They'd always say that. When we'd go somewhere in the car, my dad always knew the directions, And he'd say to my mom, what do you think? I don't know how to drive? I was in a war. I know how to drive. and if we kids were fighting in the back seat, he'd say, stop that. Don't make me come back there. You want me to come back there? I always wanted to say, yeah, come on back here. I'll pull this car over. I'll pull it over right now. I will. You know I will. I'll miss you. I'll make you wish you never came here. And the one that we hated the most was, when they got real mad at us, was, I know you. I know you better than you know yourself. I know what you're going to do before you know what you're going to do. I just said, how do they know that? But now that I have 5 little kids, I know how they know that. And when my mom gave us advice about boys, I used to think, she don't know what she's talking about. And she'd say things like, I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm older, I'm wiser. And the other day I was telling my boys about girls, and they said, how do you know? I said, I'm older, I'm wiser, I know these things. What do you think? I don't know these things, they didn't pull up a banana boat. So anyway, it's been a good life. We've had our ups and downs, just like any family. We've had our fights, we've all yelled and screamed at each other. But we love each other, we're very passionate bunch. I've said that's because we've got Irish in us. But we love our mom and dad, and we wanted them to know that with this little party. And Nicky couldn't be there because he's in Italy, but he wanted them to know that he was thinking about them. And Mom and Dad, we want you to know that all of your friends and your relatives and your kids have gotten together, and we'd like to give you a special gift, and we'd like you all to go out and see Uncle Levon and Aunt Lorene, because you haven't seen them in 23 years. So, you have no choice about it, you must go. You must get on the plane, I will drive you, and go. You're going in June, and they're going to have their 50th in June. So it should be really exciting. So now, the nut in the family. I'm a little humorous, but I am not the crazy one, believe me. You know, I had my 5th child 2.5 years ago. I have to tell this on you. And we're going to get a soda right now. And me and Mom had to go into the urologist. 3 weeks after I had the baby, I had gallbladder surgery. So when we were sitting in there, and you have to fill out about 45 pages of stuff. We were going through there, you know, have you ever had heart problems? Everything was no. Down there it said mental illness. I looked over her and I said, what should I put down? She said, well, put down, no, you've never been. I said, well, okay, we won't tell them I'm related to Junior and Clifton. So that ought to tell you right now that the nut in the family is right there. And he's going to get up now and he's going to sing a song that he wrote, for Pete's sake, to my mom and dad about them. So, do your thing, babe.
Come on, Leah.
I found a half one.
Oh boy, he lost it too.
This won't hurt long. I wrote this song especially for y'all. It's a true story. 1943 was a good year. We added a member to our family. He took our sister's hand, and when they said I do, we hung his name up on the family tree. The war was on and we were all so worried, because he had to leave for overseas. When he said goodbye, she held her head up high, and the hidden tears came rolling down her cheek. Sometimes the old road got rough and rocky, and it seemed like that time would never end. With your heart full of love and help from the man above, your sweet love always pulled them through. The war was over and he was coming home. With a smile he said, just watch his family grow. A boy and 2 girls, that's what made their world. Your sweet love just kept on coming through. They work so hard to raise those children right. Why, if one got sick, they walked the floor all night. What else can I say? The kids are here today. Your sweet love just keeps on coming through. Sometimes the road got rough and rocky, and seemed like that time would never end. With their hearts full of love and help from the man above, your sweet love always hold them through. It's been 50 years now since they married. Would you believe we love them more each day? I know 50 years is a long time. In a way it seems like only yesterday. Sometimes the road got rough and rocky, and it seemed like that time would never end. With their hearts full of love and help from the man above, your sweet love always hold them through. Your sweet love always hold them through. Your sweet love just keeps on holding them through. It's like the song says, 50 years is a long time, but Marguerite and Elmo will be the first to tell you. We don't need no rocking chair. There's all our here. Still got neon in our veins. It's gray hair in your veins. We've been married 50 years. Had a lot of joy and we had tears. We got love and we still care. We don't need no rocking chair. We don't need no rocking chair. He had underlined every single one. I went to see my friend. All but I all dressed up gold. First time I seen him smile. He started loving her. They placed her in the bar and soon they're married him. He saw her. You know, she made me see this one last time. Oh, we all wondered if she would. It kept running. This time. He saw her. They placed her in the bar store. And from the car, he thought of her.
I think you should sit down.
You know, when I came in here tonight, some lady said, boy, that guy sure is ugly. I'm not sure if she was talking about me. I was with old Bailey Hankins here. Now, I can't speak for Bailey, but my looks have been brutal as long as I can remember. When I was born, I was so ugly, the doctor slapped my mother. Then he turned around and slapped everybody in the room. My daddy went running in. He said, is the boy or a girl? Doctor said no. They took me up to the nursery. The head nurse threw up both hands, jumped into the hallway and fainted. The other 3 nurses resigned and took up truck driving jobs. I stayed in that nursery longer than most kids because they thought my nose was an extra arm. They called in 3 specialists trying to find the elbow in it. But when they finally took me out of the hospital, my parents had paper sacks tied over their heads. They left me on so many doorsteps, I was 8 years old before I found out I wasn't a break. The dog never would play with me. They had to tie a pork chop around my neck just to get him out from the house. They called me Yuck Ugly. Mama used to borrow the neighbor's kid to take to church with her. But there's a bright side to every story. They heard somewhere beauty was only skin deep. When I was 14, they had me skinned. Then when I was 15, they sent me to the store after a loaf of bread. While I was gone, they moved. I haven't seen them since. Now, the moral of this story is be proud of the way you look. You're not going to change it that much anyway. Walk through this world with me. Go where I go. All my dreams with me. I need you so. Cause in life we serve I can just see her listen for you.
Sing that cotton song.
Yeah, sing that song.
Yeah. No words.
Oh, come on.
Cotton pick song.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I was a lad, time was hard, everything was bad. There still was a line behind every crowd. Just poor people, that's all the world, trying to make a living out of black land dirt. We get together in a family circle, singing loud. Daddy say, baby,
Mom say,
I can't do that.
Juanita, we need you.
I hate to do it.
they need a little sister.
Come on, Grandma.
Not big mom.
That winter's talking about when I was a little bitty baby.
Come on, you know that.
Mama got me.
We're gonna sing something for Marguerite. You know it, come on. The one we're gonna sing.
Come on.
Sounds like I know it. If I did, I forgot.
We'll help out.
That's how it is. No wonder she was bad.
Go ahead, you're all right. Ain't that a difference?
Why me, Lord? What have I
I quit 15 years ago.
So did I.
Me and Laura got agree.
I got one dream, I just it while I was away. And in my freedom, the Lord put down in my home. I got one dream, I promise don't you worry, baby. My heart always stays here at home. I saw you look at me when you saw me look at her. There's no denying what went through your mind. You were filled with jealousy, all that on me today. I'm just looking for my love in mine. I got one ring, I guess it's who I love the lady. Can't deny the feeling that Lord put down in my home. I got one ring, I know, but don't you worry, baby. My heart always stays at home. Yeah, my heart always stays at home.
You know, the devastating thing going on in our country with World War II. And this is 50 years later, and we've had the big flood of 93. So we've got through it all, and we have that all to be thankful for. But we just want to thank all of you for coming and helping us make our day special. Come up here and stand with me anyway. Well, let's come up here. I want them to see who his brother is and where's your sister. Dot, where are you? Bob, stay go. Everybody that's on my side of the family, come and stand over here. We have friends here from Southeast Missouri that Juanita and James Ferris, who have known us from the day we were married. So we're delighted to see them here. And Bob, come on up. I want you to see. Stand up here by Elmo. They don't know who his family is. Donnie is Juanita's. Come on up here. I want you to see. This is Elmo's brother-in-law. His sister's husband. They're from Springfield. James Ferris is one of Elmo's friends that he had in Southeast Missouri. They share the same birthday. All of ours. And his wife and their son that we knew in Southeast Missouri. Come on, Don. You stand with me. Come on over. That's Donnie's wife, and there's Doc Hill, one of his brothers. Come on up. That's old friends from Southeast Missouri. Well, we're going to get you all up here, Now, all of my relatives come and stand here. Here's Elmo's relatives, too. Would you believe this is Elmo's sister? I want all of my grandchildren and children and in-laws and everybody up here, please. Stand with your, come on out and stand with your husband. Come on, girls, and stand by your husband. Wave it here, my nephew. Leo.
Turn around now. Let me see your tail there, buddy. Woo!
Turn it loose.
That's sick.
You're good sport.